Hello, my name is Alexis, and here's my response to the Lesson 3 video analysis and video reflection and analysis. I apologize about that. So, my response to the first prompt, which is what do you think are the top three perceptual distortions that employees are most likely to be affected by when forming perceptions of a new manager? And defend your answer. So, my top three perceptual distortions would be the halo effect, which consists of looks during first impression, which, according to the book and many studies referenced in it, first impressions such as, or first, I'm sorry, first looks such as attractiveness and the way someone may be dressed can influence the way somebody thinks about you, which makes sense and is one of the reasons why I picked it as one of my three perceptual distortions, especially when it comes to a new manager that's taking over. The second The second perceptual distortion would be uh, primacy effect, which would be it basically means first impressions. First impressions are really important, especially when meeting so to speak, a new hire, a new manager, somebody's that's gonna look over you and over the company and how the company performs. This first impression is really important because it will set the tone of how the next few years or however long you're gonna stay in that company are gonna be, since that manager is gonna be so to say, it's gonna set the tone for the, or not set the tone, set the environment that you're gonna be working in for the next period of your life. And the last one will be the impression. This basically means that employees who tend to treat their managers and higher ups with the most inclusion outside of the workplace usually tend to have a higher chance uh of just getting a better relationship with said manager or having greater chances of a promotion. This is really important. This was one of the most important ones to me because I believe that relationship, a manager employee relationship outside of work can really strengthen the bond between these two and therefore also indirectly improve work efficiency since the employee is going to feel like he's going to be in a better environment around people he trusts. But between these three, I believe that the most important one would be the primacy effect, since usually the employees will never have met the new manager taking over, and this new first impression is gonna sort of establish how well it's going to be and what this manager is planning to do over the next few years, as well as how, so to speak, how the employees are gonna get along with it, or with him or her. In response to the second prompt, which is the describe what you could do in a difficult work situation to protect yourself from falling prey to fundamental attribution error. So, before answering the question, what is fundamental attribution error? According to the book, it's the tendency to underestimate the influence of external factors and overestimate the impact of internal factors when making judgment about the behaviors of others. In other words, this means let's say for example, one employee keeps on getting late to work, or he may or coming arriving late to work, and or he may have to take long lunch breaks, or he may not be performing as well as others. For example, you another employee who knows little about the that employee's life outside of the company might think that that employee is simply being lazy or he's not taking his work seriously. That would be fundamental attribution error. You're not thinking that maybe that employee is having a bad day, a bad week perhaps. Maybe something tragic happened. Hopefully not, but you never know. Basically, if, in order to, in response to the prompt, in order to avoid this, what I would do would be think about others the same way I think about myself. Like if I ever make a mistake, whenever I make a mistake at work, I can just think why did this happen and how can I fix it? Maybe it's due to something outside of work, something that's messing with my mind when I'm completing the assignment or something else like that. I think that way about others. Maybe they're just having a bad week. Maybe they didn't sleep correctly. Maybe there's something bad's happening and they can't think about their job effectively. So on and so forth. There could be many things that could be happening to that person outside of the workplace that could be influencing how they're performing, and that's what I would do to uh sort of prevent myself from getting in this situation where I judge someone without knowing all the facts about the situation. In response to the next video prompt, which would be positive praise can be a type of positive reinforcements used by managers. List at least 3 additional positive reinforcements that are used in the workplace. Of the reinforcements you list, which do you find most personally motivating and why? Okay, so first of all, the 3 positive reinforcements that I find most appealing or personally motivating, as the prompt says, would be positive punishment in the form of warnings, for example. Uh, then it would also be extinction and continuous reinforcements. Out of these 3, if I had to rank them as from least to most important, the least important out of these 3 for me, even though still important in the workplace, would be extinction. This could be removing consequences from certain actions that the employees may be uh, doing. The book uses a really good example, which would be if one of their coworkers during work meetings continues making jokes which don't catch the attention of everybody in the meeting. It makes some people laugh and it makes some people sort of feel awkward in the workplace. Then we should just make the employees listening to the other people in that room listening to the employee simply ignore his jokes, and that would probably lead to him stop making those jokes. That could work with other things in the workplace, such as making jokes not even inside of a meeting, but just outside of it, making maybe somebody's awkward and trying to get into someone's personal life when they don't feel confident talking about it with another coworker that there might not be, so to say, very integrated with. So this could be extinction could help benefit. It could help stop negative um some negative actions by removing just interaction or removing consequences. The next sort of positive reinforcement that I would think the second most important positive reinforcement, positive reinforcements would be positive punishment. Positive punishment would be in the form of warnings. This would be actions that one would take before implementing negative reinforcement or negative punishment. I'm sorry. This would help the employee probably stop a specific action that could, if they continue undergoing, could result in negative actions such as being fired or something else. So positive punishment could maybe, let's say for example, one employee is getting to work late in a few days in a row, and we could use positive reinforcement, positive punishment in the form of warnings to let that employee know that he should get to work on time, or uh, there could be negative punishments coming, such as being fired, maybe, or something else. And we could also work with that employee because maybe, I don't know, maybe they have to, let's say it's a single mother and she has to leave her child at school in the morning and right when she also has to get to work. We could maybe work something out and get her to switch her schedule with another employees to make sure that she can leave her child at school and get to home, get to work early, or they could come up with another solution outside of work. I don't know, something like that. And to me, the most important positive reinforcement would be continuous reinforcement, which would be rewarding employees for continuous good performance in the workplace, such as reaching expected sales for a period of time and other good performances. That would answer my third prompt. And now for the fourth one, it states that you join a company where managers regularly reprimand their direct reports in front of others, play favorites, and encourage co-workers to report one another for making small mistakes. And based on Bandura's social cognitive theory. What sort of company culture is likely to spring from these practices? How would a new employee seek to get ahead at such a company, and to what extent would efforts to succeed in this culture directly benefit the company's shareholders? So, according to Bandura's social, I apologize, Bandura's social cognitive theory, this company would probably be undergoing vicious learning. I'm sorry, uh, vicarious learning. As I stated, vigorous learning would be the type of uh, social cognitive theory that this company would undergo based on Bandura's social cognitive theory. So, vigorous learning would basically encourage employees to learn or implement certain behaviors by watching and learning from other employees or managers. This company, as the prompt has stated, it doesn't really seem to have a very positive workplace since it manages as in the prompt states, managers regularly reprimand their direct reports in front of others, play favorites, and encourage co-workers to report one another for making small mistakes. This would generally prevent the regular co-workers from attempting to improve in the workplace in their job, since maybe when trying to do so they could sorry about that. Maybe when trying to do so, they could make a small mistake, and that could cause them to be reported by another employee, as the um, prompt states, which could probably lead to them either being punished or losing their jobs directly. The so as how would a new employee seek to get ahead at such a company, and to what extent? um, to answer the first part of the last question, how would a new employee seek to get ahead at such a company? A new employee would probably struggle at a company such like this at first, since when they are new, they tend to make mistakes. That's how we learn. We're human. And when making these mistakes, they might get reported by others or simply get reprehended by their managers, since that's what the company is all about, as the prompt states. So a new employee would really struggle and probably seek to report mistakes from made by other people the same way that those people would commit the mistakes towards them. As far as how would the to what extent would efforts to succeed in this culture directly benefit the company's shareholders? I do not see much of a benefit for the company's shareholders, since the employees will not strive to improve in their job, and the shareholders might have to either spend more money replacing or finding new employees, training them, or just directly not replacing them, and might have a low amount of employees. So this could generally lower performance in the workplace. So in my opinion, the company would just generally have to change either their managers or their behavior in this company, since this generally negative workplace would cause everybody to try and, so in as a matter of speak, go aim for each other's throats and try and get it and report each other and try and become, sort of, so to say, the manager's favorite, since the company does play favorites as clearly stated. This would not this would probably lead to, instead of the employees performing better at their work or trying to improve themselves, they would rather try and take each other down to stay on top. If that makes any sense, the way I described it. But yeah, a new employee would not get ahead very. Yeah, basically summarizing on the response. According to Bandura's social cognitive theory, the company would be implementing vigorous learning, and a new employee would really struggle to sort of develop or improve in this company or get ahead, as the prompt states. And shareholders shouldn't really have much of a benefit from this type of behavior in the company. And that would be my response to the lesson 3 video and reflection and analysis. Thank you very much.